Did you know that I can write backwards? Question mark. Also, penis! Ha ha! Did you know that I can write backwards penis? Oh, look at that. God, that's almost better than my regular day-to-day handwriting. Look at that. Fucking great. Aren't I brilliant? Just a little bit of ewan trivia there for you. Did you know that I can write backwards? Why? Because I'm better than you. Because I'm a fucking genius, you pricks. Do you know who else also could write backwards? Da Vinci. He used to write backwards. Bloody stupid old Da Vinci. Dumb old idiot Da Vinci with his left-handedness. Like a twerp. Like a fucking little shitty little boob man. Because if you're left-handed and you write like this, you smudge all the... Especially with old ink from back in the day that doesn't sit on the paper right. So he learned to write left-handed from right to left backwards so that it didn't smudge everywhere. But I'm better than Da Vinci. Better than Da Vinci. Because I'm not fucking dead like a stupid little dead bloody sod hole hat fart fuck in the ass in your mum's vagina. I could have kept that bit of paper. There was nothing on it. Shit, I threw it away. Now I'll have to get another one. Today, class, notebooks out. Everyone get your notebooks out. Take some notes in your books, notebooks, because we're brainstorming ideas today. That's what we're doing. We're brainstorming ideas for a ballpoint / cross hatching. I should write it backwards, shouldn't I? Video tutorial. Tutorial video. Cross-hatching video tutorial. Does that even look? Of course it looks right. It's just backwards. It's why if it does. See, because right. So I've spoken about this before. I know I've mentioned it before, and it gets brought up almost weekly now. There's at least one or two people will mention they want to see a ballpoint cross-hatching tutorial type video, and I fully plan to make one. I completely, and I've said before, I'm planning on making one. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something about painting, explaining paintings. I feel like there's just something easier about it. Maybe I've just done it enough doing voiceovers for like painting videos. Half the time I'm not even talking about how to do the thing. I'm just saying this is green, that's blue. But then I have sat down and tried to sort of do that with me doing a crosshatch drawing, like a ballpoint biro pen ink drawing, and I can't quite verbalize what I'm doing right. So I thought I did do a ballpoint tutorial video some time ago, maybe years ago now. So it might be that I rip some ideas from that. But I've got the video in my head. I'm going to put the ideas onto paper just to see if it works. Yeah, I need to see if it's going to work. So start off right off the bat. It's got to be the basics. I think I'll do in two videos, in two parts. So this will be the first video. The basics. I'll start with these squares. I'll have them pre-drawn, and then there'll be squares, and then it'll be hatching. This is hatching, little hatches to fill up space, to give texture and fill in ink to fill in space in the space. And then the more hatching you do, the more ink is on the paper, and then the more darker the shading, the shadows get. So that's hatching, but then you've also got hatching and cross hatching. See, and that's something. And then there's cross hatching, which is cross hatching, and then there's cross hatching, and then cross hatching, and then cross, and you can just layer it up until you're happy with whatever the fuck. And then I'll explain very often, like, those are the basic techniques, I guess, of, well, it's not even this, that's what cross hatching is. And then what I often do, probably more often than not, my hatching technique for, like, especially doing boobs and butts and stuff where it's rounded objects, so I'm hatching around an object and I don't feel that this is quite working for me, what I will often do is hatch at an angle like this and then turn it slightly and go like that, and then turn it slightly and go like that, and like that, like that, etc., etc., to hatch like a round. And then, yeah, as again, you more layers, more hatches, darker crevices, and you hatch around the object rather than over the. That's the thing. And then I'll talk about, like, gradients and shit. You can just scribble hatch. You don't need to do individual hatchings. It depends on if you want the drawing to look good or not. These days, apparently, I don't, so I just scribble my hatching in. They're gradients, different, you know, bunch of shit. I probably don't need this many squares. Maybe 5 will be enough. Then I'll have. I have definitely done this before. I'll have an outline of a fella, or a lady, a person, a non-gender specific person. Maybe 2. Maybe I need to have 2. Maybe only one of them will have arms, but this one will have big cocks, so it'll look like they've got 3 legs. And then on one of them, I'll say, you know, this is when you put shadows, like shadows under the tit muscle, maybe under the belly a bit, little belly button, under the jaw, little, you know, face shadows, and then shadows here and there, little under the kneecaps shadows. Put shadows here and there and everywhere, which is fine. But it can leave the drawing looking a little bit like specky, like there's patches of shadow here and there and everywhere. But what you might want to do is do those shadows, but then sort of blend them into the whole, the drawing, the figure as a whole, with gradients. So the entire drawing is shaded sort of top to bottom with, you know, little pockets of other shadows here and there. But it can be visually pleasing to, rather than have a shape that's like this with shadows, to have a shape that's like this. It's all dependent on what you're into, I guess. So that's part 1. That's part 1. Hatching. I can't spell. Hatching. The basics. That's part 1. Then, and this will still be the same video. I've said the video will be in 2 parts. All of this is video 1, part 1. Part the second. I'll do shapes. I'm going to do some shapes. I'll do like triangles. I'll do a couple of triangles. I'll do a couple of squares. And maybe some balls. Just to sort of take this and then move on to another step. That's going to be my sort of plan. Take this and move on to another step. Take this, move on to another step. That's the plan throughout the videos, to sort of explain and express that. So the basics of you apply those sort of shading and gradient techniques to a shape, which is fine, whatever. But then also to make those shapes into objects. So there's I'll also need to explain somewhere along the way dark to light, because that's what hatching is. It's dark to light, dark to light. You swoop up, so it's darker here and then lighter here. Because when painting, it's very, especially the way I paint, it depends on the medium you're painting with, but with painting, it's very often painting with light, and you start with like darker / mid tones, and you build up the layers lighter and lighter with final little highlights on top. But with ink drawing, again, not always, it depends on techniques and equipment and stuff, but very often it is the case that you're painting with, or you're drawing with shadow, yeah? So you work it from the light areas to the darker areas, and then you build up the ink to make the darkest darks, rather than the lightest lights and lights. So you use that dark to light technique. It's a good one for like drawing hair, where if you draw hair and then you do this, and then it looks like a shiny 3D cone almost, kind of. I'll draw it better in the final video, I promise. Well, I don't promise, I might not. And then there you I don't know what I'll do with a square, because I don't want to just like this. You could do this if light source is here, and then so this is, and number, you can, so this would be a bit light, so you could have like 1, maybe 2 hatchings in there, and then this would be a bit darker, so you could put 1, 2, 3 hatchings in there, and then this is going to be even darker, so you could put 1, 2, 3, 4 or more hatchings in there to grade shapes, gradient, tone, volume, mass, bunch of shit all over the place. And you could turn that into a cube and just apply the same principles. So this would be darker here, and then a bit less dark there, and then light on top, and you get a shadow underneath or something, and then balls. You can do balls. I don't know if I need to do I need to do 2? I might need to do 2. No, because the next bit I've got planned. That's right. Yeah, so I'll do the basics of like shading a ball where the hatching around sort of will come into play. Yeah, and like a ball and a shadow and shapes and objects, hatching and objects, and that's part 2. Shapes and shading. See, my backwards writing is way better than my forwards writing. Part 2. Then part 3, I think would be, that would go into part 4. Part 3 would be cylinders. And then, that's right, because the contour, it's about contours and shit. So I'll explain how you can use your typical hatching, and then hatching, to build up the shadows, to add to the volume of the fucking whatever, and then you can come back with some shadow on the other side to give a like highlight through the middle of the thing. But then what you can do is, it takes a bit more time because you do have to be a bit more careful with it, is take the lines and follow the contour of the shape, so curve your hatching to match the curve of the shape that you are drawing, and then do that again and again and again, more and more, until it's all very. It usually works better if it's like, I need this one, I'll do another one. If it's like smaller, tighter hatches that fit the contour of, it's not necessary, you can do this, but might be, but then you can take that and you can turn it into stuff. So this, for instance, this could be, what is it? It's only a bloody hand, isn't it? Oh, that's handy. And then you turn it into, you shade that, but then you cut in with another little bit of shadow here for like tendons and all kinds of shit, and you hatch little bits, and so you take this, turn it into that, take that, turn it into that, and that into this. It's all part of the part 3 cock, because they all look like cocks. Slash contour lines. See, look, it's like a penis hole and a peas. Jesus Christ. Okay. I hope we're all learning. Are you taking notes? You better be taking notes. This is. I might just cut this out and leave this as the ballpoint video, the ballpoint cross hatching tutorial video. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to record it again, but better. But it won't even be better. I'll try to make it better. All of these things, these outlines of bodies and these shapes and stuff, I'm going to have them on like sheets pre-drawn, or like neat and tidy in a bolder pen, and then fill it in like their worksheets or something. Oh, I could put the worksheets on Patreon so you can download them, and the worksheets will literally just be like, worksheet 1, fill in the squares with hatches. Worksheet 2, a triangle. Brilliant, Ewan. Just bloody brilliant. I mean, I could do that, but like I could literally draw outlines of body, like a colouring in book, but for cross hatching. That's a terrible idea. I won't do that. I might do that. I probably won't do that. I think I don't know if I will put maybe I'll put one ball in here, because the balls will feed into part 4, which will be about volume. That's right, volume. Because right, so you get a ball, and then la di da di da di da, cross hatch the ball. Look, it's a ball. But then, if you want to add a layer of like depth and realism to it, you got to learn about something called reflected lighting, which leaves a gap within the shadow underneath the objects that you're fucking looking at. It's on everything. It's on one particular object, which I'll get to in a second. And that's sort of one of my best go-to examples of where to look for like examples of reflected lighting is this particular object I'll get to in a minute. It's a penis! It's not really, but it could be. So you leave like almost a thin crescent moon here, because the light comes down and it hits here, but it also goes past the object and it hits the ground and bounces up and reflects on the underside. So you will often get a dark shadow separating the lighter parts of the object, and then this part might be darker but still like visibly light-ish. There'll be a bit of a shadow underneath if it's like floating or whatever. So the shape I use as an example is this. You might know what it is. It's a tit. Oh, we like tits, don't we, eh? God, I love some fucking tits, me. Oh, do you know what's great about tits? The way they're like delicious and yummy. If you look up, I'm planning to mention this in the final video, if and when I ever get around to making it. Look up big tits in swimming pool images and videos, I guess, but because the water's so reflective, it often reflects up on the underside of the boob, and you get a really good example of reflected lighting, where there's often like a blue glow on the underside of the tit. That's basically what I can give as like I don't know, maybe not the best example, but almost a perfect example of reflected lighting on a voluminous object, a bulbous orb-like object. And tits are quite good for learning to sort of shade and stuff anyway, because they do have like if the light's coming from just above, you get a sort of light here, and then this bit's darker, which you might not think it would be, as it goes up into the chest. And then you get like maybe some light on the collarbone and whatever, and of course it casts a bit of a shadow underneath the tit onto the ribs of the person, the owner of the tits, and then you get a bit of shadow on the thing, and then the nipple casts a bit of a shadow, and then you can sort of work that into the shading of the underside of the thing, and that's volume and also reflected lighting. That's part 4. I was at my local comic book emporium just yesterday. I was looking for something quite specific that I'd had my eye on for a little while. When I did find the specific thing, I'll get to that in a moment, but I also found something completely and utterly by surprise, and it was this. Straight away, I saw this on the shelf, and I knew that's an Ashley Wood piece. Because I'd seen it before. But even if I hadn't seen it before, I'd know, because it looks like an Ashley Wood piece. And then I saw Ashley Wood. Wow, marvellous. How do you do it? You know so much about knowing nothing. Now, so this is remastered. So this is, I think, some older work from T.P. Louise and Ashley Wood that they're remastering and putting out there, as they have done recently with a lot of things, Zombies versus Robots and etc. etc. Now I think, as always, I say this with no information, no knowledge, no research, purely based on my own minimal knowledge previously, and making assumptions based on available evidence. I believe previously most of, if not all of, Ashley Wood's like comics stuff was put out by IDW, and evidently he's not with them anymore. There was some controversy with IDW publishing recently. It was under new management, and it was shit, and the person in charge is a piece of shit or something. I read about it, I forgot about it because I didn't really care. Either way, I guess Ashley Wood, T.P. Louise, Chris Ryle, the guy who wrote Zombies vs. Robots, I assume they've now got back the rights to all of their work, so they're re-releasing them under Image Comics, retaining the rights, and then putting it out again, remastered with new stuff, I guess, and taking all the money for themselves, besides whatever goes to Image Comics, which is great. I think that's fantastic. You know, it's far better to own the shit you make rather than have it be fucking, I don't know, stolen away by an evil publishing corporation. So this is, I guess, a collection of stories, comics, writings. There's portions of it. Look at that! Look at all those fucking words, not entire pages with nary a drawing anywhere to be seen. Now, will I read through this? I don't know about that. I really like the Lantern Jack. It's a compilation of mechanised body and a jack-o'-lantern head. In years past, this creature was the pride and joy of farmers across the United States. Lantern Jack was a prototype mechanised scarecrow that never quite made it to the commercial market. It was a bold invention that it was said. Bold. I read the word bolt. It was said that the invention was hit by a bolt of lightning while sitting in a church graveyard next to the wheat field where the machine was supposed to be stationed. The lightning started a terrible fire which destroyed both the machine and the church. So the legend goes it was on this night that Lantern Jack was removed to the underworld, where his head was imbued with the screams and torments of those that were buried in the graveyard. Hiss is a snake. There's a Medusa. That's a cool Ashley Wood painting. A lot of this artwork I've seen before because it's in like various books of his collecting artworks and such. And there's a few pieces I really like. There's some nice paintings, and I like the Lantern Jack character is, you know, Ashley Wood doing robots and also a pumpkin head. You can't really go wrong. I really like the colours on that. It's really, really well done. It's a really sort of well-made piece, well-painted painting of a picture. I like his funny little guys he does. Very atmospheric. And I think that's what I get most from this collection of work. Is it's much more atmospheric than a lot of his stuff. It's not like focused on cool shit, robots and zombies and fucking sick artwork. It seems more geared towards illustrating the stories as opposed to making cool artwork and having stories that go with it, I guess. The artwork's still good. It's very much Ashley Wood, whatever it is he's drawing. But it's not the sort of artwork like this that jumps out at me as like, oh shit, I can't wait to get my hands on this so I can look through it and just fucking drool over all the artwork. Like, that's basically just a spot illustration for a piece of prose, which is cool, you know, but it's not like, doesn't drive me wild in terms of art and such. That's a fantastic image. Almost not even a drawing, really. Like, it's got basically no actual line work. It's just made up of shapes and tones. And it is very atmospheric. It's a very powerful image. And I love it, and I love how it looks. I love the texture, which something Ashley Wood is really fantastic with. Is he always has such great texture in his work. But it's like, I was thinking about this the other day. Maybe not intentionally, but it just sort of so happens that a lot of artwork I look at because it makes me want to make artwork like that. Like if I'm looking at Fabry or Bisley comics or whatever it may be, just cool fucking drawings and shit, I look through those and it makes me want to draw and paint comics. But then this stuff, however fucking cool that is, the digital paintings, just the 6 of them, I guess it's 7 if you include that, it's almost all atmosphere. Like the actual drawing and such is sort of, they're well painted, it's well devised, well structured, sort of almost storyboards. But with the tone, the colour, the setting, the choices of shots, it's almost pure atmosphere, which is interesting and impressive. It can be really hard to genuinely create atmosphere in a drawing or painting. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff, I don't look through this and come away from it like, I need to make my own comic. I need to go away and draw and paint and be that good. I need to come up with some shit. Some really interesting artwork. He's really good at horror artwork as well. Ashley Wood's, whether he sort of, I don't know, I'm sure he knows that he is. He's done horror comics, but his style fits horror really well. I think because of like the texture and tone of it all, it has a very sort of like tactile, dirty, spooky kind of feel, even when it's weird fucking snake chicken creatures. This is so simple, but like it's one of those simple ideas you didn't think of but he did, which is really good for just like a horror illustration. This is another one. It's made out of shapes and tones, but it's such a nice depiction, because I know if I had to draw like a house, a barn with a tower, I'd be drawing the lines and all the stonework, and like maybe not all the stonework, but there'd be a lot of drawing involved, and it'd be not meticulous necessarily, but it would take some effort for me to like try to make it look cool. This looks like it took him minutes. Just a few lines, tones, probably added digitally. I love the roughly drawn borders, the tone of the paper as well. It's not just white paper, or it's got like a colour printed onto it. I love panels and pages like this, just simple storytelling with some hands. One person stabbing a fork into someone else's hand. Holy fuck shit, you crazy fuck, you just stabbed my hand with a fork. Simple storytelling, it's impressive, and it sort of, it maybe doesn't make me want to go and make comics, but it certainly puts ideas in my head to steal for next time I do go and make comics. And there's many parts in this like that looks like something out of the Lighthouse. just a really sort of off-kilter, spooky little spot illustration of a guy. It's really, really nice, really well done. But then, so for all of that and for all of this, that's fucking gorgeous as well. His minimal mark making is impressive. And I'm not only inspired by ridiculously over-the-top mark making with loads going on. Sometimes I am inspired by minimal stuff. I'm inspired by Ashley Wood lots, and have been for fucking well over a decade. This panel, I'll almost certainly steal this idea. You've got the drawings of the heads with a bar drawn through them as the panel border, and then only like colouring in a bit inside the panel and leaving patches outside. Really simple, really effective within, like that fits perfectly within these pages. Definitely an idea I'll steal. Whether I choose to or not, I might steal it somewhere down the line and not realise I've stolen it. But then if I look back through this, I'll go, oh, that's where I stole that idea from. But even if I don't look through this and go, oh, this is amazing, even though I am pointing out illustrations saying how good they are, even if it's not my favourite thing to look through, and I'm not going to read it because I'm a shithead, I love that it exists because it does show what you can do with like graphic novels and comic books. You can have stuff that is like comic books, lots of small panels helping to tell a story visually, but you can just as easily have pages of text with spot illustrations to go with them, or full page illustrations to go with them. Definitely happily added to my collection of Ashley Wood stuff, but maybe not, like it's not, I can't see me picking this up again and again to look through as I might do something more like Zombies vs Robots or like an Ashley Wood art book or something. But nevertheless, it's really good. Now, the other thing I picked up, which I was hoping to find and did find and was looking forward to, is this. Spawn Kills Every Spawn. Issue 1. I'm very glad I was able to get hold of the first issue. Drawn by an Instagram pal of mine, I guess. He's been a long time sort of like follower and followee. I followed him and he's followed me for as far as I can remember, really, I feel like. Rob Sketchcraft Duenas. I only know him as Sketchcraft. That's his name on Instagram. Go check him out. Yeah, he's been sort of like showing off parts of this over the last little while, and it's had me intrigued. I have said I'm not a huge fan of Spawn in general, but I am a fan of comics and art and comic book art. If nothing else, I wanted to pick this up just to get an idea of the story, because I understand Spawn kills every spawn. Okay, so there's a spawn and he's going to go around killing all the other spawns, because there's a bunch of different kinds of spawns. Like there are different kinds of Spawn comics. I don't know how many of them in here are like made up or actual spawns. I don't know enough about Spawn, but it's a pretty cool idea, but I didn't know enough about it, so I thought I'd pick it up and have a look through. And I have had a look through, and I do get an idea of the story. So there's one little spawn, and he goes around killing all the other spawns, beheading the lady spawn, chopping up medieval spawn, shooting the cowboy spawn to pieces. That's cool. And that's one. That's one thing about Sketchcraft is, which I'll refer to him as that because that's how I know. He's got very, very distinct stylistic work, and he draws everything very sort of like bulky and angular, and I think that fits Spawn very well with like chains and the cloak and guns and stuff. I love his guns, his funny bulky little guns. And then it's telling the story. So basically, as I understand it, there's a little like chibi, I don't know how to pronounce it, chibi spawn, and he's at SpawnCon, Spawn Con, like a big convention of all the spawns, and he's selling his autographs for $60 or 50 or 35 or 10 or for free. This sucks because there he is. No one's in line to see him. All the other spawns, Dragon Spawn. I hate Violator Land, a little Gertrude Spawn. That's a cool one. I imagine that's a made-up one for this comic. I don't know, but Danger Spawn. There's Spawn Comics Kayfabe, little, R.I.P. Ed Piscor, and a Jim Rugg Spawn. It's quite funny. Haunt Busters. It's pretty ingenious. For one thing, big double-page spread, very cool, of him, I guess, imagining torching in a lake of fire all the other spawns. And there's Violators, and that's about all I know of Spawn. I know Spawn and Violator, and that's about it. Really, really cool, huge double-page spread as, like, what, page 3, 4, whatever, 4 and 5. And then, only a couple of pages later, another big double-page spread. Fucking cool. And it's insane. Insanely packed with detail. Which I love to see. Like, not that... It's almost the polar opposite from the Ashley Wood work. It's I don't see it as better than Ashley Wood's. It's just so different. And I appreciate it for what it is. I don't only like comics that are full of detail. Sometimes there can be too many details in comics. But I do like it when it's sort of apt, and for a scene like this, where you're drawing like an overview of a Comic-Con type event full of people, and they're all in costumes. They've all got badges and stickers and backpacks with characters on, and action figures and hats with a little buggy on it. Comics and costumes and outfits and weapons, portfolios with stickers on. There's just so much going on. Like he's paid attention to like every character that's in here. That's almost like a Fairly Odd Parents thing, I guess. The clown thing from Spawn, I don't know who that is. But yeah, every character has like stuff going on. This fucking guy with like I guess that's Savage Dragon as Spawn. A Savage Dragon Spawn backpack, and then he's got like comics or books and shit, and then tags and patches and things, and then the guy behind him's got a mask and a coat with spikes and just stuff. He's got like an action figure or character backpack thing with a hat with stuff on it, and then in these, so you've got them at their tables, and then he's got all the comics, and it's just, there's a lot going on. I'm spending ages and ages saying, hey look, there's a lot going on this page, as if you can't fucking tell that there's a lot going on this page. Jesus Christ. And then people go up to him to say, hey, I've got a question for you. And he's like, oh, really? You want to talk to me? And he's like, yeah, do you know where medieval Spawn is? It must be aggravating. And yeah, the details. The medieval Spawn hat. Like, well done to Sketchcraft, because if I had to draw Spawn fan asking this guy a question, I'd put him in like a hat and stuff maybe, but I would never, maybe not never, but probably wouldn't get creative enough to put like a fucking half a guy on his hat with all the comics and stuff coming out his bag, little robots. I know that's a specific, is it Scud the robot? I don't know. Things, stuff going on, and then people try to dress him up as a different Spawn, the gunslinger Spawn, and take pictures of him, but he gets pissed off and he leaves. Everything, medieval Spawn and she Spawn, brilliantly drawn, brilliant like design work, all the guns and stuff. It's just so much. It's a great street scene. Those can be difficult to do with perspective and stuff. It's really good cartooning as well. Like, it really feels like I can't think of any cartoons all of a sudden. I don't know, like a Billy and Mandy or something, with like the way everything's sort of skewed and bendy and stretching and stuff. It's got a really good sort of animation type quality to it. in terms of like its environments and characters and stuff. And like this, like Invader Zim, like fucking, that's a great scream. His hands like, his mouth, his tongue, his eyes popping out and bulging. And I love drawings of rooms like this. There was a lot of those in like old Dungeons and Dragons magazines when you have an illustration of a group of friends playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then in the background in the room there's like shelves full of D&D books and dragon miniatures and like dice and all kinds of shit. I love that because it gives the sense that this is a lived-in environment. It annoys me when you see a version of that like in the background of podcasts and stuff, as I fucking talk about enough. When they have rows and rows of fucking action figures and Funko Pops, and of course they've got neon lights and everything's like glistening and clean and tidy and arranged and aesthetic. It all has to look nice, and it just makes me sick. It's just fucking, why do you live in a museum, in a modern fucking museum? It's disgusting. Whereas something like this is great because it's literally like a person's room. Drawers are open, there's garbage everywhere, there's shit on the carpet, just messy shelves with books and action figures and posters and stuff. I really, really like that. I love the illustrations of all the figures and the posters. I'm sure some of it is like taking an image, shrinking it down and putting it onto the poster. Maybe it's not, I don't know. If it's drawn digitally, then maybe it's super zoomed in. But either way, really, really cool artwork, cool imagery. Good for the colorist as well. Robert Nugent. Because, like, for instance, in here, I worry about scenes like this, like if I'm painting them, about having too many different colours. Blue here, yellow, green, turquoise, orange. And then it can seem a bit too, like, hodgepodge, speckledy, a bit everywhere. Whereas the colorist has been really smart and is a very limited palette. Like, there's, yellows and greens, browns and reds, but they all sort of like, they fit together, but they're separate enough that you can make out different parts. And there's like a green tone to it all in this scene anyway. Really, really smart colouring with that. And then a different sort of colour scheme, not even a colour scheme, but different colouring for his room. So his room looks different to the convention centre, which it should do. So that's smart too. And then he's thinking about the torching scene from before, and he's torching all his Spawn action figures. So that's a good like callback to that. Him imagining the thing and then him playing it out with his action figures, and his mum gets mad at him. He lives with his mum, evidently. That's something. She gets mad, grounds him, I guess. He gets upset. Sit quietly. Here, I got you some comic books to read. You bought me Spawn comics. Boom. And this, dear reader, is where our real story begins. Right here, right now, with me making a vow to be the one and only Spawn. So I'm going to kill Spawn. I'm going to kill every Spawn, starting next issue. Ooh. Which, I don't know. At first, I was a little bit annoyed at that. I was like, when you have a comic that's kill every Spawn, and the whole first issue is just telling, like, almost the backstory leading up to the actual story of kill every Spawn. As like with everything, I hate intros. I hate intros in songs. I just want to listen to the song. I don't want to listen to a 1.5-minute skit before the song. I don't want to have to fast forward and then miss the first bit of the song and then go back. In videos, I just want people to get to the point of the video. Tell me about the thing you're telling me about. Don't spend minutes building up to that. And in comics, that's why Gun Viking starts with a guy getting his head blown off and then shooting people, because he's Gun Viking. That's what a Gun Viking comic should do. So when it's with this, it's like the whole first issue is just the backstory leading up to the actual story. So now I've got to wait until next issue 2, where he actually, I assume, starts killing every Spawn. But that's why I say at first I was a little bit like, ugh, about that. But I'm not a writer. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with regards to story. And it does make sense, because if you jumped straight into him killing every Spawn, then at some point you'd have to have like a flashback or multiple flashback scenes to explain all of this. Maybe you could do it within a few pages, I don't know. And they do, it does open up with guy having his head blown off. So props to them for that, and scenes of decimation and mutilation, decapitation, dismemberment, and torching people alive. So I say that that bit annoyed me a little bit. Starting next issue, I was at first for a bit, I was like, ugh. But on reflection, that's just me being a little drip of piss. And part 5, I think, will maybe be about applying that, all we've learned so far, applying that to the face. Because the face is a thing. Everyone draws a face, don't they? Everyone loves a face. Except yours. I hate your face. Get the fuck away from me. Don't touch me. Don't come near me, you bastard. Get fucked. And then look at that. All just the simplest amount of cross-hatching to turn a face into a more realistic. Look how realistic this face is. Oh, it's like a photo of someone that wasn't meant to exist. It's me! Oh, look at that. Oh, it's got my beard, my stupid little ears, my stupid bald head. Oh, I wish I wasn't alive. And then I'll also maybe talk about how it can be good to use shadow to build up the structure of a face rather than lines. So instead of drawing all of the bits of the face, just using shadow to imply them, and then they sort of become existent on their own through adding the shadows of them in to stuff. Yeah, that's, see, look at that. Look, I made a face exist without actually drawing the details of the face, just drawing shadows. I mean, I am kind of drawing the details of the face, I'm just not drawing them with typical lines that you would normally maybe use. Maybe some reflected light under the chin, some ears, some fucking antennas, a third eye, because he's a wise seer and revelator, wise beyond his years. Some magnanimous foresight-seeing cunt. I might not do this bit. I might. But it'll be part 5/6. Because this would be 5, and then 6 would be all of the shit, all of the shit. And then part 6 will be, I might use Kim Young-gi's example of boxes, where he imagined everything in a box before he drew it, which is a really smart way of doing it, because it instantly gives you a sense of perspective of the object you're drawing. And then the point of this section will be some skulls. I'm just going to draw some skulls because they're fun to draw on. Everyone loves a skull. Oh, except yours. Get it away from me. Don't touch me, you bastard. That's a callback to the point of this, though, will be sort of trying to describe the planes of the, I think that's the word they use, the planes of the structure of the shit, of all the structures of the bits of that make up the bits. You know what I mean. And then it's all like blocky shapes, like you see drawings of like the blocky shapes that make up the shapes of the. I don't know enough about it to be telling people this is how you. Maybe I'll do a bit of research before. I probably won't, but I probably should. I'll have the skull pre-drawn again, like the other things. I have like a bold outline of a skull, and I'll just sort of show how you have the planes, the basic shapes that make up the things. So if the light's coming from above, then there'll be shadows to give shape to. Because outside of drawing things, it is light and shadow which gives shape and form and whatever to objects. There'll be a little bit of shadow here, and then this is teeth, and then a bit of shadow here. Obviously shadows in the eye sockets and such, and the nose hole. And then this whole bit can be in shadow, this whole bit of the skull, this whole side of it. A bit of shadow here and there. And then we'll try to take everything and put it together in a cool drawing of a cool, badass demon skull with fire in its eyes. Or something. Probably just another version of this, but drawn and like cross-hatched really well. That would be the point of it. I'll put real like. I might even like, for the sake of the video. Actually, no. I guess that would be. I was going to say, for the sake of the video, I might have some of it pre-cross-hatched and then just fill in a couple of parts. But then that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Even if I like speed it up, if I edit it in a sped up manner and then voice over it, it'll probably be better than just some of it already being done. Again, that's the purpose of this episode of the podcast is figuring out what the fuck I should do as far as a cross-hatching ballpoint drawing tutorial video goes on, because I don't know. Because it seems that, if I try to just do a ballpoint drawing and then talk about it the way I do my paintings, it doesn't seem to work. I can't quite get the fucking grasp of it. Let's put a cigar in his mouth. That's cool, isn't it? Oh, I hate cigars because they're a symbol of rich up themselves assholes. It's like a status thing, isn't it? And if you see anyone smoking a cigar, they look like an absolute fucking cock. So fuck them. But in this case, it should be a cigarette, shouldn't it? Like a hand-rolled cigarette. That's a working class, working man's way of smoking. Fucking cheap-ass, badly rolled, hand-rolled cigarettes. Or a spliff, a joint. Oh, I get to smoke a doobie. Man, just so many cigarettes. Oh, it's not skull and crossbones, it's a skull and a shitload of fucking cigarettes. I almost said the F slur. I almost said the word fag to, not imply, but to describe cigarettes, which is a British slang term for a cigarette. But it's also a slur, isn't it? So I've got to be careful about that. Something cool and fun and exciting. A skull and it's got all shit going on. Cross-hatching. Rah. But that's the point. So I'll have a loose outline of a skull and then I will cross-hatch it to make it look fucking cool. Maybe I'll put some like double lighting in here or something, and that could look kind of cool. So a shadow down here, some other lighting coming this way, and I'll do something with it. And that'll be underline, underscore, full stop, period. Well, you're bleeding out your vagina, period. That will be the tutorial. But I figure, like I said, it'll be split into two videos, because that will be all of this, where the fuck is, it's there. All of this will be in one video, which I think I can get down to like 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes. 10 to 15 I'll aim for. Some of it's super basic, some of it's a little bit more in depth, I don't know. But that's one video, isn't it? Like 5 basic steps. The basics: hatching, shapes and shading, contour lines, volume, reflected lighting, and all of the shit, putting it all together into one fucking thing. Then video 2, what I thought I could do, I think once I get this, if I can get this done in a manner that I'm sort of happy to put out a video of that, then what I may be... Is this a blank piece of paper? Oh, cool. I think then my aim would be to draw, like, for a separate video, maybe a week or two afterwards, to draw a drawing, start to finish, like I normally would, and maybe speed it up and do a voiceover to it. So try to do the thing I just said I was no good at doing. But my plan is because I've had a plan for a while to draw a version of. I should have pre Google imaged this. Oh God! Images go. There it is. Kate Winslet nude in Titanic with her tits out. Oh, they are nice breasts. I don't think I saw the film once when I was like super young. It wasn't the first tit I'd seen, but it was pretty early in the tit viewing. Whatever. And the other hand is here, and then fingers and her face. Oh, isn't she cute? Her arm comes down here and up here, armpit, and then for her body goes like this, and then she's got like hips and shit. A penis. Oh, gotta give her a nice big penis, haven't we? The necklace, that all important necklace. I wanted to do a ballpoint version of that image, the Kate Winslet nude in Titanic. You know, draw me like one of your French girls. Anyone who draws nudes has had that said to them too many times that they've probably ended up murdering somebody over it. So I could do that. I think that would be almost a perfect example for like, because the lighting is pretty good in that scene, which makes sense because it's a fucking colossally budgeted, large-scale blockbuster movie. So they better have good fucking lighting in their nude scenes. But it would be a good example of light and shadow, cross-hatching forms, using ballpoint pen to describe the body, shadows, lines, nipples, massive dicks with big swollen helmets, oozing pre-cum. And a couch, I guess. I don't know. I'll draw some shit around her for the whatever she's fucking lying on. And that, yeah, again, it will take me. I think I could draw a decent version of that within an hour. About this size, I could do that in about an hour probably. Speed it up, do a voiceover, talk about. Make sure everyone's watched the previous video. If you're watching it to learn anything, watch the previous video and then take note of the techniques being implemented from the previous video into this nether video. And then maybe you'll fucking learn something, yeah? Stop being such a lazy fucking no-good layabout lout. Absorbing content and giving nothing back. How about you learn something and do something, you fucking shitty little weasel ass little fucking but that's, I mean, that would work, wouldn't it? And then that part 7 would be in the, and all tits and a dick too. Ha ha ha. Piss and cum and shit in my eyes. This is really good. I might upload this to Instagram because it's a really good drawing. And it fits as well because I would have already mentioned tits in the previous video, as well as other stuff. So I think that works. I think for a ballpoint / crosshatch, I need to work on this bit a bit. I think maybe I only need 2 faces here. Maybe a basic one just to say shadows in here and here, and then another empty one that I can show you filling in this, and then a couple of skulls, bunch of fags, and that will be something, won't it? That'll be a video. So yeah, tune in 6 to 12 weeks time where I might actually have made a start on trying to actually film the fucking thing. We'll see how that